neighborhood meeting. It's not anything I narrate. It's not anything I dictate. It's an open forum meeting. Again, we want to keep it at probably 3 to 5 minutes. Does someone have a timer here or maybe kind of help us with that? Or you got me? Okay. What do you guys think? 3 minutes, 5 minutes? How long?
3.
3 minutes? Okay, 3 minutes it is. Who's first? Okay, well.
Okay, I think probably everybody's heard the term. If you don't remember what happened in the past, you might retake it.
Could you hold the mic closer to your mouth?
Microphone closer. Closer? All right, here we go.
There it is.
Some people have also questioned why, I've asked for a lot of detail. I think other people want to know about what we're doing on getting a leasing restaurant in here. And, I guess what makes me real cautious is that in the past, like in 2020, we had a major financial decision like we do now. And the board decided to borrow money, get with Kemper, let them run the place. And we lost $1,200,000 roughly after that period until sometime in 2023. I think that there's a lot of people here, want to know what's the basis for the decision. We don't want to know just when we decided this. We'd like to get information so that we can understand, maybe do some evaluation and ask some questions. And so that's what I'm concerned about and would like to see happen on this thing. Before the board did everything for us, didn't give us a vote or anything, and it turned out disastrous. And not only had the $1.2 million loan, $1.2 million operating loss, we have a lot of debt that we're paying, I think, $30,000 a month or something in that area, about $360,000 a year. So all of these things led to our demise before. So that's why we're so interested in getting an understanding ahead of time and not just being told the result.
Okay, thank you. Well, if you have a question you'd like to, is that anything you'd want us to address as a board, as a group? So Julie can write it down and we'll.
What?
A question for the board. Do you have a question with that statement from the board so that we can write it down and address it as a 7-member board?
I would like to get more information about the bids, what they call it. I'd like to know, if you're going to favor one company, what do you see as the advantage in this company? Because it is a big decision we're going to be faced with for years now. So I would like to see the board give us a lot more detail on it and comments, and maybe we can get some comments back, ask questions back once we see what you're looking at, okay?
Okay. All right, well, formulate a question with that. You got it? Okay. Okay, next.
So calling it off and waving.
Questions?
I have a question. Are we going to stay with the May 1st vote that y'all did with the board meeting the other day? Is that still going to stay where y'all had voted to make sure all the LOIs are in by May 1st?
Well, we don't have any completed LOIs at this point anyway. We don't have a complete set of data to make an evaluation on, so we may not have the choice.
No, I said LOIs, what y'all had voted on.
Right.
Not data, but LOI.
LOI includes the backup data as well. One of the things that we don't have, and I mentioned this in the update that I made on Town Square, one of the things we don't have from the Christie's group is restaurant financials. We don't have any restaurant history financials at all. And we've asked for that more than 2 months ago. So hopefully that comes soon from them. But that LOI is incomplete. So we have 0 complete LOI.
Did Falcon bring in an LOI?
They have one that says it's going to take anywhere from 7 to 10 days potentially at max is what they're looking at. But they don't know because it's based on that restaurant group putting together their LOI. And so they're working with us and they're waiting for that group to put together the LOI and send it. So that group has told them they are working on it. They need time to put it all the, details of the tenant improvements and rent and everything together for their LOI to be proper, and they just need time to get that in. While at the same time, we got a text today that there's another local interest restaurateur that wants to come and walk our restaurant, and then there's another event / restaurant. They wanted to see last week.
So those would fall under Falcon.
So
They
all
would fall under Falcon,
correct.
Rushing.
So they would get the 3%
But they're-
of those that are coming in.
Hold on.
And so like
But the board is
so they can go
gathering
to us with Falcon's
information that's not forthcoming.
Yeah, I can kind of heard that.
What's that? No, from the companies that want to lease.
Yeah,
Me?
we'll get into a lot of cross topics.
I want them to get all the information possible so they can make an educated decision. I just want to make sure I'm on the same. Yeah.
And my question
Sorry. No worries.
Okay, so the answer is no to the May 1st deadline because we don't have the information. And then the other part of that question was basically the ones in charge telling us you've got 3 or 4 more coming in that have directly contacted us as a whole, but Falcon Group is going to represent them. They contacted Falcon. They contacted Falcon.
Through their marketing efforts.
Now, if we do go with Falcon, which is against everything I believe in, and I don't want to sound like a broken record to y'all, I don't have anything against doing it personally, but I'm very upset with what's going on. And I think a lot of people feel that way. But my point is that if we go with the Falcon Group and we have to pay them upfront, not at Christie's, we do pay them upfront.
We pay no one up front until there's a signed contract.
Well, when they're signed, we still pay them. We're not paying them monthly. We're not paying them after the fact. We're paying them once we sign a contract. So what's gonna happen if the restaurant that they bring in fails in 2 years and we've already paid all the money for the 5-year lease?
We take that with Christie's. I mean,
Exactly the same.
I mean-
That's why the most important thing for us is to select somebody that's going to be successful.
But if they're not, and we've already paid Falcon Group their commission, do we get money back from Falcon Group if they can't live up to the lease?
They
it's a broker.
did exactly, you know exactly how this
But
is.
see, that doesn't seem fair to me.
If you sell a house to somebody and they default on the loan, or somebody,
Well, that's not the same.
well,
That's not the same. It's not the same.
One of y'all.
Okay, so my understanding is if they,
Wait.
I'm gonna
Shannon's got this, when she's finished, we'll go.
So to that point, if we're going to get someone in here, the whole point of this is we're not just looking at it for financials. We're going to do our due diligence that looks through their financials, that if they're going to be a successful restaurant, that they have backing, and if they have, if a restaurateur comes in here, they have $300 million in backing, they can really come in here. I'm not too worried about them not being successful in the first 2 years. I think they're going to be very successful, actually. So, and I'm not saying that there's one out there right now. I'm just saying that I have almost 20 years of financial and leasing experience in restaurants, and y'all put me on this board to do our due diligence. And I'm telling you that I still, with all that experience, want to rely on a Falcon Group who has been doing this for 20 years as well, and they do it on a day in and day out basis. And the little bit of commission that they're going to make on the big long-term picture of our lease and the financial stability of this place for 20 years, hopefully down the road, is what we as a board are hoping to present to you residents. And that's why with not having the Christie's complete LOI and not having their financials, their restaurant financials, we can't really make a
But my
decision.
understanding of it
And that's
is
the answer to the
owners
question.
gave y'all financial statements and they're well over what we need. Is that
We have only received, actually, the board has not, if I recall, has not received any financials. I think Rick's the only one that has received the financials from
No,
Jim.
there's been others provided.
I'm just saying that was one person, James Hoffman, correct? And that's the only financial that you see was his personal.
Okay.
And that is not a restaurant financials. That's not audited financials. That's not a 3-year audited financials, or even 2 years of audited financials.
So,
And that's a typical thing that happens when you're going through these leases. lease contracts.
So the clarity is, it will be an audited financial from each and every one, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It'll be an audited from who? The CPA or through a bank or how are we auditing that? Is it a compiled audit? Is it?
They'll have to turn in an audited financials. I'm an audited financial statement.
But who is responsible for the audit?
Their CPA.
Their CPA or their own
That's
internal
what my
accounts.
financials are.
And that's what audited financials are. They have to actually use a third-party service like
Yeah.
Licensed
CPA firm. That's certification,
So
registration.
anyone who presents to us will provide those same, or be required to provide those same requirements with those restaurant financials.
So, for the LOI, and I think I'm represent quite a few here, an LOI it's an offer. And it's not binding in any way, it's to pretty much line up and put the contract together. Is that correct?
A letter of intent
Yeah.
is a agreement that you are going to come in and work together to potentially get a facility rated, yes. However, it isn't just a piece of paper that says, hey, I'm going to do this. It also requires financials, bios, and other things, and any kind of LOI when you're talking about the whole big picture of an LOI, not just the document that is a letter of intent.
Well, the actual letter of intent, is it binding or not binding? That's yes or no?
It's a non-binding.
Non-binding, so if there's nothing to it that's legal.
Well, it's legal, it's just non-binding.
I'm just kind of confused.
Those are two terms that don't even really make sense to me. It's a legal document.
It might not make sense to you, but there's several of us here.
I guess what your point is, what's the point behind this? What's the point? What's the point?
My point is, to ask someone to go pay to get an audit done by a CPA firm, that's a lot of requirements financially, and they may not even have a dog in the hunt here in making this lease.
If they are Christie's that I know them to be, which I did the research on, then I'm sure they have a bank loan. And a bank loan requires you to turn in an audited financial once a year.
But that Christie's you're referring to it's a consortium of ownership. Some of those owners that are coming in here, I don't know their structure. I don't know that they've given us their structure. And that's part of our LOI that we're asking for. So for them to provide all of that, they've got to get all their horses in a row to formulate and put something together here that we haven't given LOI on. So there's questions that everybody's going to have.
I mean, that's exactly what we need. We need them to put all that together for us. I mean, if you're going to go into buying a restaurant, buying a location or renting a location, you're going to need to have all your ducks in a row before you go. And so
when they came back in February, we still haven't provided anything to them. Since February, going back to them to get them lined up to do their due diligence, that's what you're talking about. Nothing's happened. So in February, when I asked that we move forward, the whole purpose of that was to move forward. So if they need to get an audit, if they need to do these things, they can proceed with that. Because I've been in audits before, and it takes a while to get one done.
Right.
again, I would think they already have 2 years of audited financials because they have been in business since 2021 is when they came back into business after COVID, when Jordan supposedly was the partner there, because before that, it was Ashton.
Well, where did you get that information, though? Where did you get that information? Because James Hoffman
It's
is
on the
not part
internet.
of
You go
it.
look at
So
the internet.
is James Hoffman part of that?
He is not part of that.
Okay.
And that's my point. So that's just one of the red flags. So as we do our due diligence, we need to make sure we're getting someone in here that can handle this place and be successful for 20 years. And that's where I'm going.
I don't think they're going to have a problem providing that once we come to an agreement just on principle.
Are we,
Hang on, there's other people.
are we still sticking to the 3-minute rule?
There's other people.
Well, I think maybe there's a confusion here about what audited financials are. It's not an IRS audit, it's a CPA that says these numbers are good. That's all it is.
No
And
one's
it's a-
told them that. No one's told them. Well, how can you have it open? How can you guys have told them?
3 minutes.
Well, I can, okay, well, there's a email from.
Remember, I was
February
supposed to
22nd.
negotiate this.
Negotiations asking for information. But we asked for this, and you actually put it in one of your notes to the board, that we've asked for these financials And that was in February. It was, so either you didn't ask for them, or you did ask for them and they haven't provided.
No, they did. They provided it in red, and I think Andrea saw it in red, and she confirmed that she saw it in red, and they answered some of it, and others they didn't. And that's the way
And
it was.
the restaurant, we don't have any restaurant financials at all from them, audited or unaudited.
A restaurant from which restaurant? James's restaurant, Christie's restaurant, under Jordan?
Well, Christie's would be nice, since that's the group.
Can we put a pin in this and get to some other?
3 minutes.
Yeah, let's just escalate.
Yeah, we got other people that want to talk. I don't really want to talk. This is for you guys.
Can I just ask one question? What is it about the Falcon you trying to push in? It's something strange going on. That's all you've been doing is pushing Falcon, Falcon, Falcon. Why don't you deal with Christie? They've been here since January. What is wrong with it? Something's not right.
When you go to sell your house, don't you hire?
Hang on.
We're not selling. We are not
First bid that you get.
We are not selling this
When you
place.
go to buy a house.
Well, we are trying to asking for money.
Well, no, it's
They're
not.
not gonna own it.
Okay, but you cannot bring anybody who's going to guarantee, they might guarantee you to, but they will not be here 20 years. I can tell you that.
Well, why are you so hung up on Christie's when they haven't brought our financials? That's
Because this is already taken. January, February, March, April, we are in May and we still don't have nothing. Just arguing
And
and
the answer to the question about Falcon is, and it's been
Falcon is a
said,
realtor who is going to pay money.
it's
That's
been
it.
mentioned many times by me and other board members, and it was in the update that I just posted. It's something called due diligence. You have to do your due diligence, and
Y'all
that's how
have
you
done
do
it.
business.
Y'all have done it.
We don't have any complete.
No, we have another question back over here. Let's get somewhere.
In your post, you mentioned that we're legally required to use the group. Can't hear you.
A little louder.
In your post, you said we're legally required to use the group. Can you speak more about that?
Sure.
Geez,
No, we're not legally required to use a specific code yet. But the way Texas property code is written, and this is from our lawyer, it's not me saying it, is that the HOAs are required to use neutral third-party experts when making decisions like this, big financial decisions like this. So the Falcon Group is a neutral third-party expert in doing restaurant leases. So that's why we need to do it from a legal perspective as well as just a pure due diligence perspective. We need to have a neutral third-party expert to help us evaluate the different opportunities that are being brought in. It is a broken record, but that's the truth. You can't change the truth.
It's a broken record what I say to you, and it's a broken record what you say to us, and we don't agree. That's the
That's
truth.
right.
Most of us don't.
And that's okay.
Hang on, we got more questions. We all stand up and trying to keep this straight.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Floyd and I live at 281 Victory. I'm a homeowner, I'm a CPA, I serve on 2 boards, I've been in business for 30 years. I own 3 properties in North Texas, 2 of them HOAs. Okay, so just given that, this is what I expect my board to do before entering into a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract. And it's very simple. You get multiple bids, you hire an expert, you look at, for each of those bids, you look at audited financials, and come on people, there's enough business owners in here that you know what an audited financial statement is, and if you're in business, you should have one, and you have to have one. I expect there to be audited financial statements, I expect there to be a business plan, I expect there to be bios and financials for the owners, period. Whether it's 2 or 3 or 1, if there's only 1 person interested, that is what I expect. And on the boards that I serve on, and I'm treasurer of a board with a $20 million budget, if I entered into a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract and I did not do those things, then I could be sued and I would probably be kicked off the board. That is what I expect out of this board, and anything less is unacceptable.
Okay.
Then we should have, take temper or
Hang on a second.
that temper.
That's done. That's not passed.
Go ahead.
Hello. Please no one yell at me. So I mean, I have zero experience in any of this. I think and I personally am for Christie's group, but I also very much feel comforted knowing that we're exploring Falcon and have a neutral third party and other people are getting looked at. But my question is if we have to have a neutral third party, which I support, and we say that everyone here accepts that we have to pay for that, shouldn't Christie's just go through the Falcon group? I don't get why you're having to chase their financials if the Falcon group's being paid to evaluate people.
Because I can answer that. For the last 3.5 months, they've been working, trying to establish deal points so they can put their budgets together for this new entity they're forming. And because of this new entity, there's different owners. And the ownerships, excuse me, need to know insurance costs, what we're going to allow, what they can do under our guidance, because they really want a partnership with the community. So that's why they're coming to us. No one else, to my knowledge, has come to me about having a partnership. And as an owner, and this is an operator, this is not a lease. It's going to be a management agreement. No different than Kemper was, except they will be paying us and us not paying them.
I know, but it just feels like we're never going to come to an agreement if we're evaluating Christie's and then this neutral third party is evaluating everyone else.
Well, and part of that thing is a 5-year lease. I agree with you. We put all these deal points together and said they're ready to go. Falcon Group said $8,000 to pin the deal because a local attorney that's 40 years in the restaurant business said he didn't want to deal with it. He said get the realtor to do it, and the realtor said $8,000. Okay, if you take their money and you give Falcon the same deal the rest of the restaurateurs have, it would mean anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 depending on the term of the lease. So that realtor has these other guys, and then they have Christie's now. So is it fair to have them represent Christie's? That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, can I give you a short question? I think you guys have a shorter answer.
Right, one at a time.
One
please.
question.
One at a time.
Can I get a quick shot? Is that everything for you?
Can we hear?
Yeah, I'd like to hear their answer because that's kind of why I wanted you and them to.
Okay.
So, I think your question was along the lines of, is Falcon, why aren't we putting Christie's under Falcon? And
Correct.
we are. That's exactly what we've done. Now that we've signed the deal with Falcon, Christie's, with Falcon, the Falcon representative will be managing all these leads for us and then doing that in conjunction with our negotiating team, who is Rick and Seth. So yes, Jackie, who's our Falcon rep, will be managing all this, gathering this information, gathering the LOIs, gathering all the financials, etc., and evaluating that for us, because she's the expert. So yes, we are doing what you suggested.
I thought it was voted on the no contract with Falcon.
Hang on, let's finish this one, because we'll have this going throughout the entire room if we don't keep it one-on-one. Go ahead, do you have anything?
Is there any reason for us to believe that Jackie, right, so you said the Falcon Group representative wouldn't be neutral to Christie's? They have some bias of the other ones over Christie's. There's no reason for that. Or is there?
There's no, I mean, she has ethical codes, professional ethical codes she has to follow too. She's a realtor and there are ethical codes there as well. So she can't violate those. It's just like, being a CPA. You have certain codes that you have to follow or you can lose your license. So there's no reason to think there's any bias there. And the bottom line is, even if she was biased and she's really trying to push, one of these other deals, we get to make the decision, and it will become very clear to us that this isn't the deal that we want, and we want to go the other direction. We are the ones that make that decision.
Who's we?
The board.
Strictly the board, and the residents are responsible
responsible for that.
We are definitely gathering feedback.
And we pay more dues. Next year is gonna be more again, because, yeah.
Okay, next. Diane.
Okay, you've already signed the Falcon contract, and you said in your letter that there was a 3 to 5%. Louder. So,
Microphone.
okay, hold on. You mentioned in your letter that we would pay Falcon
Microphone.
5% commission on the full length of the lease term for any restaurant Falcon brought to the table. What happens, this is what she asked, what happens if they leave? Okay, if they leave, then that means that we are gonna be paying, as opposed to $8,000 for Christie's, we will be paying, just as Rick said, whatever, for 5-year term. That's a whole lot more money that we're on the hook for. So if they do leave, say in 2 years, as an example, is what we were using a while ago, if they leave and they've already been paid up front their commission, then we're losing a whole lot more money than the $8,000 for Christie's. So can you put in the contract lease or whatever that's drawn up for this, a deposit of the same amount of the lease, and that way if they jump ship at 2 years, then they have to pay us the remaining balance of it? That way we're not out that kind of money?
Well, I can do a small example and I'm going to use hypothetical terms.
Hypothetical terms. If we go with Christie's and let's say they pay us $25,000 a month, okay? And someone else comes on board that comes from Falcon and they pay us $28,000 a month at a 5-year contract. Simple math at 3% means that we're going to net over $160,000 of profit, even after paying Falcon in the first year. So if we were to get and you can do the math, everybody, this is simple math. You can do the math. If we get someone here that is apples to apples, that is going to cater to the residents, cater to our events, cater to our meeting point and our culture, and do everything else that's apples to apples, and it's only about strictly the money, just a $3,000 more a month 5-year contract, we make over $400,000 in the 5 years. So it's simple math. I've done the math.
There's still a huge difference between the 8,000 and the
3%.
30%.
They're paying Falcon 3%.
For the first term of the first term of the 5-year term.
So for 5 years, you're paying 3%
Of the 5-year first term, yes. So take the 5-year first term, take $250,000 and do it by 5 years and take that by 3%, and that's going to get them to like their 30 to 40,000, whatever they're going to get. We're also going to make on top of that over potentially an additional 400-something thousand over the year. So almost 500, almost $500,000. So I want y'all to know that this is part of doing our due diligence and doing financial evaluation. I'm not just sitting here talking a bunch of nonsense. These are real numbers.
So what would be the negative in putting in there the contract, whether it be Christie's or whether it be somebody else that they bring in? If you did the same thing with the 8,000 and you make them put in a pot, the difference for Christie's would be the difference of what the lease would be minus the 8,000, and then it'd be a deposit. And then if they fulfill their full term, then we give them the deposit back. But if they don't, then they need to pay us back.
So I think that's why I think y'all need to let us do what we're doing, because Falcon, we know this. This is stuff that's standard with Falcon. These are things in terms they know they have to put in upfront deposits. These are things that are standard in restaurant leases. I mean, I think that these are great questions. They're great questions. They're great questions, but these will be things that are going to be in negotiated points in the contract, as well as Julie and Andrea and Rick and some of the other things that all the residents have asked us to put into the contract, as far as our special events and being able to handle, all kinds of things that we need for us, the residents, right?
Well, the reason these are such important questions are because it's being told to us that we as residents and co-owners are just going to be told what we have to do. We're not going to have the opportunity to really make the decisions as a 2/3 vote, and it probably should be. I know that the declarations and all that may not include it, but those declarations and all that were written long before we owned this building. They weren't written when we had ownership of this, so they're outdated anyway. But, you know, the residents are the ones that are on the hook for all of this. And y'all don't seem to think it's important that the residents have a vote in what's going on with their money and their finances and their home values and all that. You just don't seem to care about that part.
I don't think that's it at all. I mean, I totally disagree. I mean, we are totally listening to the residents and what y'all want, but as far as doing like I mentioned in one of the board meetings, having the premature presentation with Christie before we've even done our due diligence, had any financials, and had a chance to, you know, again, I want everyone to realize that Falcon did a great job of putting together, everything for our place to market it and at a trade show, and then put us on their website that has tons of other listings besides our own, you know. So I want you to know that this kind of stuff it takes time. It's not just that they put it in February, March, and all of a sudden we're going to have 100 people come walk through here. No, that's not going to happen overnight. And they have brought us 1, 2, 3, 4, and they got 2 more than one, because that's 6. So they are doing their job, and they are getting us some looks and getting hopefully us some LOIs that we can say, look, everyone, residents, here's what we have. But right now we don't have that. I mean, I would love to be able to say, hey, we got a Christie's, and we got this, and we got this, and we got this, and they all are wonderful. Well, by the way, this guy over here, they want to pay us $20,000 more in rent, and they want to do all these special events for us, and they want us to come in and have, whatever. I'm just saying, who knows what will come up over the top, but we just need to know that y'all, we just want y'all to support us, to know that we are going to work hard to do our due diligence, work with Rick and I, negotiating directly with Falcon, working with Andrea and Julia and all of us to make sure all our negotiation points are hit. And then when it's all said and done, we hope to make a great decision for everyone, and that's the idea.
Okay, well, my final question would be, you mentioned earlier in the very beginning, we had a May 1 deadline that was voted on by the board. That is now out the window, we're hearing. And so we got one more that's coming on now. They just told us today that we got one more. So are we just going to keep dragging this on? We already know by now that we're not going to have anything by the end of this year.
Well, I'm going to be brief on this. The realtor's just doing their job. When a restaurateur calls and says, hey, I see there's a posting for the yacht club, can I come see it? That's it. They're just doing their job.
It seems obvious that y'all are pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back. And I'm trying to figure out, and I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, are you trying to wait until there's more board elections, or what are you trying to wait on? I mean, I understand the due diligence that you're trying to do, but I mean, how long are you going to push it out? I mean, just continuously pushing and pushing because they've got one more?
Absolutely not. We will, when we have enough information to make a decision, we will. Nobody's pushing this out on purpose. We don't have any completed LOIs. We can't make a decision.
We did get 2 LOIs from Christie's group several months ago, and part of this entire thing started when I suggested we respond to their LOIs to us, and that's why we're here. Okay, this young man's got a question.
Hi guys, my name is Michael Legren. I'm on 5306 Yacht Club, and I appreciate y'all having me, and I love all you guys. It's great, we're all neighbors, and one important thing is always respect. And, I know we're all heated about this. I was a former restaurant owner in downtown Houston, a pretty popular place, also an advertising producer, worked for AT&T nationally on national distribution on spots. So I understand a little bit of things about marketing. What happened to the restaurant here was social media devoured it. It devoured the restaurant. And if you look around the room right now, we're all different demographics. We all have different age groups and tastes and whatever. So whatever we need to do is give them time, in my opinion, in my restaurant opinion, of opening a restaurant, because restaurant businesses are horrible. It's a beating. And you'll get comments from everybody, from every newspaper about everything, and all of a sudden everything goes south. And then we're not gonna have a restaurant. I mean, I know you guys want one, and you want one bad, and I understand about the financials. I understand about that. But they're doing their best to try to figure out, and Seth and I speak the same language. We've been in the restaurant business, and me being in this area and being in this community, I want a good restaurant. And so I'm with them on whatever they need, and I'm supporting them. So I'm sorry, and I apologize, but I love all you guys, and that's all I have to say.
I disagree.
Hi there. Okay, so my name is Andrea. So I got a couple of questions. So we signed this contract. When does the contract expire? So we're gonna be sitting on these people wanting to come in. It sounds like we have 4, 5, 6 leads, and people walk in, and it sounds like everybody's walking out. They see the obstacles, they don't want to do it. We got this one company that does see the obstacles, and they're okay with it. And like Shannon, you're a real estate agent. When you get 4, 5, 6 people walking in a house, and they walk back out, they don't want to have anything to do with it, that's a problem. That's a problem. So they got all these leads walking in, and there's something wrong because we've got one person that's interested.
That's right.
You got all these people walking in, and they walk back out. And they walk back out. So
I don't know where you're getting your information,
you
but
just said it. You had 4, 5, 6 leads walk in, right?
no, that are
You just
interested.
said it.
There's no one has walked away saying we can't do this. No one has.
Well, we don't have any LOIs.
Well, those are
We have one that's working on it right now.
So I guess my closing question is, how long are we stuck in this contract for? How long we got to sit on our hands?
Stuck is probably the wrong word, but the contract term is July 31st. That's the end of the
when it
contract. That's the term.
expires?
Yes.
All right, good.
And then they have 90 days.
And to clarify, we do have 2 interested parties. Okay, 2 interested parties, and then there's 2 that want to walk through the facility that have not seen our facility yet. So that's the honest clarification.
Yeah, hey, how you doing? I'm Joey. I live next to her. If there's a problem, go to her house. I'm very confused because you guys are confusing everybody. You know, you guys really are. You're saying one thing and doing another. The last meeting we had, you said, Seth and we're gonna talk to Christie's and whatnot, and next thing you know, you're posting saying, hey, we got the Falcon group. I mean, you believe people that vote for the Falcon? Because out of nowhere, no one even heard of the fuckers group, whatever you guys call those guys. It's retarded. I'm just saying, I know you guys got a rough job, and hats off to you guys because it sucks, and they're gonna make everybody happy. But the point is that you guys are misleading people and confusing people. You know, Seth, you got all this thing in restaurant, that's great, excellent, you know? You, young man, we don't even know you, but you know, maybe you're gonna do the best you can. And here's the only thing else I got to say. We voted you in, I'm just asking, can we actually vote you out? Simple question, that's it. I was just asking.
Yeah, after my 3-year term, I think you voted out. Correct, but I don't want to run again and just have to deal with this craziness sometimes. Maybe I will. But it's one of the reasons I didn't do it in 2017 when I was at the board. Now back to my point, though, there is no confusion because the negotiations are going through, as Greg mentioned a minute ago, that Rick and I will be in full communications with Falcon Group on all communications that they deal with. If they're dealing with Christie or any other group, Jackie will be in communications directly with Rick and I at all times through text, phone, or email.
What is projected reopening?
Here's a question right here. I'll give it to you.
My question is, what is Falcon? Is this another management group that Kemper was? And if they are they going to be profit and loss accountable, which Kemper was not?
They're a 20-year commercial broker, realtor advisor. and they specialize in lease and landlord deals with restaurants, grocery stores, gyms, whatever it is, and they have special people on their team that specialize in those particular industries.
Okay, so if we're gonna be owing them X amount of dollars, whatever the percentage is, then is something that should be going back on whoever the leasing is, that they are responsible for that too. That should not end up being our problem.
I mean, that's why we're hoping to have a higher rate. Like I said, if they just paid $3,000 more a month, it would more than pay for itself. We paid almost $500,000 in 5 years. So it would take. Theory, it's actually.
I'm just saying for the
Don't matter.
What's the projection for reopening? 2024, or are we looking into next year?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, you should have an estimate. My goodness, you guys have been looking at this for 5 months. I remind everybody here that if we're not opening by the annual election, we need a new board.
100% agree. 100%. Rick.
I'll get you next.
So my confusion is, you've been dealing with Christie's. Y'all been asking for months for restaurant financials, and you have not received those. Who does business when you ask for? Now, I'm not saying he gave you personal financials. That's not restaurant financials. And so I would question, if they're coming to us as Christie's, why do they not have those financials? Okay, because we don't want.
They didn't come to us as Christie's.
They're not Christie's.
Rockwall Hospitality Group.
Oh, so they've formed
It's a new entity.
company? So
They're in the process of formulating a new company with 3 principals and not 1.
Okay, so
Which we leave Christie's
but
on.
do they have restaurant experience?
60-something years.
Okay, then can they bring their financials from the business?
From
that
each
they-
one?
That they,
One of them owns 15 restaurants, so
well,
which
then they
one?
should have restaurant financials.
They do, they have,
Then why can't they provide those?
Well,
Because that would, then the LOI would be ready to go.
because they sent 2 LOIs to us, and we haven't responded to those LOIs
Because
with
they
anything
don't,
other
it's
than,
not complete.
That's all I have to say.
no,
So
the
that's why I
LOIs,
hope
they presented us an LOI. We didn't ask for them until they responded with their LOIs to them. One of them for a lease, one of them for a management agreement. There's 2 different LOIs. They're trying to do everything they can to provide us what we need. So when Andrea asked for the financials, I sent it to them, and they provided us back. Not everything, but some of the things. So that's what we've seen. That's where we're at. And, okay, next.
I just have a quick question. Is there any restaurant in Rockwall that Falcon has done any of the leasing or?
I don't know that answer.
I don't know. We could ask
I mean, I'm real interested.
I mean, you can go on their website and they have a lot of different places they put together, like and there's testimonials on there and whatnot. And I believe if you
Where
go to
are
the
those?
announcement, if you go to the announcement, you can click on the link and it will
I've
show
been on the
their.
website.
If you go to their services and all that, and I do not know personally if they have done anything within here, but as I mentioned at the board, I work with 2 different restaurant companies, and my CEO at one company and the CFO at another company both advised me to use Falcon Group. One with the Tavistock Restaurants, if you want to look at Tavistock Restaurant Group, and the other one with Il Fornaio. And then I called my lawyer with Corner Bakery when I was with Corner Bakery and asked him if he knew anything about these people at Falcon Group. Could you go look at their website? And he said, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so. And he mentioned 3 or 4 of their names. He goes, oh, I work with them. They're great. They're a great team. They'll do their due diligence.
They're not really doing any work in Rockwall, is that right?
Not in Rockwall, but at the same point, they've done it all over the Dallas area, and they live at Houston. And they may have, who knows, I don't know if they have or not. We could ask them. But again, with the lawyer said that, Seth, I advise y'all to get an HOA lawyer and to also get a real estate broker like Falcon to help you all out. And so I had 3 professionals that are way high up in the restaurant industry point me to Falcon and say they were all legitimate, and that's another reason why I backed them and pushed them. And it's nothing personal as far as I have. Zero personal gain. It's just I feel like that's a gift from God telling me, hey, you got 3 people that 1, 2, 3, you've done your due diligence, Seth, there's 3, let's use them. And that's why I feel like they're going to do a good job of getting the information from Christie's and getting those financials. If they are out there, they will do that due diligence and help us get the information that we've been trying to get for the last couple months. Thank you.
Okay, I think I have to piggyback off of her question over here. If Falcon Group, if we're paying Falcon Group $8,000 for the Christie's deal, why isn't Falcon Group doing all this work? Why are we asking for financials? Shouldn't they be doing it?
So we just signed the contract last Wednesday, and then we tried to pass that on Saturday, but there was, if you look at our thing, there was a lot more questions, so we got it done. So anyways, the Falcon contract was signed on Wednesday, and Jackie has already talked to Jordan. She emailed, texted us 2 days, said, I've spoken with Jordan, and we are working on his LOI. So that's what Jackie said.
Financials. Falcon should be asking Christie's for financials. They should be doing all the work. We're paying them, right?
Jackie wrote the LOI, guys. Jackie wrote the LOI originally. So that's another thing.
For Christie's. For
Yeah.
Christie's?
But it hasn't been presented.
Why hasn't it been presented?
It's been presented to Jackie, and we are going through negotiation points. Rick and I were talking about negotiation points that we want to put in there. Like, I want to put in a natural break point for percentage rent and make sure that everything is specific on our rental increases, and ask Falcon Group to make sure that we can get all our stuff in for our events and everything else. So there's a lot of stuff that we're putting together.
I feel like Falcon, if they're supposed to be representing all deals, they're only making $8,000 a flat fee off of Christie's. I don't think they're working very hard. I think they're a little biased, right?
Well, you're thinking, but they're doing.
All right.
Hey, thanks. Jim Brewer, 420 Columbia. Seems like there's a lot of emotions that are tied up into one decision or another.
Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Is that better? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Taking into the mic. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a lot of emotions that are tied up in individual decisions, whether it be Falcon Group or whether it be Christie's. And I'm just confident that you guys are going to work that out. I love the point about that we have to let the board do their job. I would also love to hear the process. Once they sign, can you describe the process that they're going to go through to entertain offers? LOI's got to be the first step. I'm certain it's not the last step. Can you kind of describe that process, or would it make sense to have them come in and present at a board meeting or something about the process if more details would be helpful? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and it needs to be a process, and that's part of due diligence is you follow a process. And basically, it's having Jackie now managing all of these different leads, including Christie's at $8,000 or somebody else for a different number. But managing all of those leads, gathering the LOIs, gathering the supporting documentation and financials, getting all that information together, making sure it's correct, giving us the opportunity to do an apples-to-apples comparison. If we have 4 completed LOIs with all the backing documentation, we don't need to go any further than that. We don't have to, keep looking for more people to do a restaurant here. I mean, we're going to have plenty of choices there. So once we get to that point, the board will determine, okay, now it's time for us to make a decision. Let's choose one of these companies to move forward with. And then the board will take a vote and say, these are the ones we want to go forward with, and negotiate that contract specifically with that company. I mean, it's not rocket surgery.
Rocket surgery.
Hi, I have a point I want to just point out. I know everybody comes with different experiences, and my life, commission has been really important to me. So when I think about this group and realize that you've got Christie's coming in with one, they seem to have come in first and separate, and I may be confused on this, and now they're bringing in other people. It's only obvious that the other people they bring in, they'll make a lot of money on, and Christie's, they won't make very much money on. So if they are unbiased experts, they sound biased.
Yes.
And so what were we doing as a board, what are y'all doing to overcome the fact that there is a bias there? Because they will make a lot more money if they bring somebody besides Christie, if that was agreed on before. So
Well,
I just want your
we've actually
input on
been
that.
working with Falcon longer than we have been with Christie's. Yeah, we were introduced to Falcon late last year.
But their financial burden is less than somebody else's towards the Falcon group, so why would they want to pick Christie's over somebody else?
Well, they don't get to say.
Well, Christie's was, we were talking about a May 1 deadline, but now we're waiting while they bring in other people that they can make more money on. So isn't it in their benefit to delay it a little?
I mean, if you want to believe that, that's fine.
I'm not believing it, I'm asking it.
No, there is no bias. In fact, I'll tell you that the only reason that payment structure is different is because some board members wouldn't go along unless we changed the way we paid for the Christie's deal versus the other deal.
And I would like to address that.
So, no, I'm answering her question, Rick. Hold on a second. So, there's no bias here at all. And in fact, the Christie's, or I'm sorry, Falcon Group agreed to do that.
But wouldn't
to
Falcon Group
accommodate the board.
naturally have a bias?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't Falcon Group naturally have a
They don't
bias?
have a bias at all because we're
Well,
the
their
ones that are
company
making
will
the
make more
decision,
money.
right? I mean, they don't get to tell us what to do. They don't get to tell us what deal we have to take, right?
I get that, but they're motivated by money to pick somebody
Well,
different.
that's true, and they.
Or
But like I said, there's also ethical standards they have to follow as well. So, there's no bias here. There's no preference or whatever. I mean, they know they're going to make more money if we choose another deal, but they're not going to try to force us to do that. They can't. We're making the decision.
Okay.
Okay, and the split, I'd like to address the split of the listing agreement for the flat versus the percentage. I was all for, if you're doing the percentage, they collect on an annualized basis, not on a 5-year basis. And that was redlined by me, and that's why I did not agree to the listing agreement as it was written, because it's going to put us in a deficit when we start. And that goes back to everything we're trying to correct on this board. Next question.
With deposits,
Next question. Yes,
with deposits and months of rent that happen, we wouldn't be in a deficit.
But I don't like to go there to start with. That's just me.
We wouldn't be in a deficit to start with.
You don't like to- 5 years.
When you pay them, you are.
If you pay 5 years commission up front, you would definitely be in a deficit.
Well, not if there's a deposit, which will be a deposit, and the way that it gets paid is that half of it when the contract is signed, half of it 90 days later. There will already be rent being paid before that second payment is due.
Okay, next question.
I just have a quick question. I've got a lot. Why, if this has been going on for months, did there just become an agreement to get signed with the company? Because from what, and I'm kind of, I don't know, somebody's confused. I'm kind of confused too because the Christie's group, I don't know them from any other restaurant, and I'm very, we're new to the community. I've just been catching up through these arguments. But if you're looking at Christie's, it sounds like to me they didn't give all the information because they were kind of putting together a different partnership and they were waiting on the information from us, from what I understand. So that's one question. Why weren't we giving them what they needed? And then why has Falcon Group been going on for months and it's just now came to this point? And that's for everybody, I guess, because everybody's fighting.
So to start with the Christie's, I'll start with that one.
Yeah.
Andrea and I have asked for financials since the beginning, so there's no confusion. We have been asking, so I don't understand why you haven't had it.
But and I don't know, what Rick said that they were waiting on the information from us too, on the insurance. Was that not true?
There's nothing to wait on. We had already given them the information, said, you need to go back to the drawing board with with the LOI, and also to give us your financials. And that was how we left it.
Well, the other day in the meeting, the board meeting, I heard that, and I got really confused on that Rick was supposed to be negotiating with them and he didn't know that, or he knew that a portion. So that, there are things that are confusing. They're just standing listening. But the other is, like I said, if one of them, if they were waiting on us, and you're saying they were not waiting on us. And two, if the Falcon group has been something y'all been working on forever, or for 4 months or whatever.
Well, so
why is it just now?
Yes, so they told us they were going to do the trade show at the end of January, February, when that was, and they put the marketing together, and they could show us what they could do for us, right? And they did all of that, and then said, and then Greg and I had been working with negotiating the contract, and with Rosemary here in the area, they wanted us to do us a favor, basically, because that's a way below market price for the $8,000 for Christie's. That's way below market, and also the 3% is also, and 5% is also below market value, which is 4 and 6 typically, and this kind of deal. So they're working with us, and we negotiated that contract. We brought it to the board to be signed so we can get these LOIs, because they have the one person who is wanting to give us an LOI and put it together. They weren't going to give us that if we don't sign a contract, right? So by getting this signed, that's why we were pushing to get this signed now, so that now that we know that they are marketing for us, they're doing a good job, trade show, and bring this potential. Yes, we want to sign a broker deal so we can help in the negotiations, and they are, and of course our due diligence and our, the third party, and making sure all the other stuff that Greg had mentioned as well, to make sure that we are, having a third party unbiasedness as well. Look at this.
Next.
Right there.
I don't think I can that either.
Let us know if you can't hear.
I think a lot of people, what I'm hearing in the community, and what would probably be helpful is, a lot of people are operating under the assumption Christie's is ready to go. That it's got a bow, we can just say yes, but that's not what I'm hearing from you. So can you clear that up? Because I think that's what the friction is. People think it's ready to go and you're just not taking it.
That's why we came to the board meeting, and that's why we came to the roundtable tonight. And unfortunately, I have another life where I coach my kids all year long, so we finally ended our soccer season, so I was able to come tonight. But we have mentioned that multiple times. If you look at some of the posts that I posted and Greg posted on the announcement, we have mentioned that multiple times, that we are waiting for the restaurant financials. We are waiting for the restaurant financials. And until that is done, it's hard for us to move forward. So, I would love it to be Christie's and they come in here and say, hey, everything they said in the presentation and their financials all lined up and everything ticked and tied. And Jackie and them said, yes, yes, yes. And we all were able to negotiate our points for what we want particularly in this lease, and go forward. But that's what we're waiting on, yes, restaurant financials.
Yeah, I just think going forward, the clearer that you guys can be about that piece of it, the less friction there will be, because the community is operating under
totally get that.
assumptions,
Yeah, and I would just say that Christie's has said we're ready to go, and that's great. I mean, I love their energy, and they are an impressive group. We can't make a decision without all the proper data. Okay, so they are ready to go, but they only until they give us their restaurant financials. As soon as we see that, then we'll have a complete LOI, and we'll be able to make a determination and compare it to other LOIs that we receive.
I think one of y'all needs to make a post on Town Square that basically says, look, here's the 10 things we have to get from any restaurant we're going to sign with. And Christie's has given us 6 of the 10, or whatever that is, so that our average homeowner can track the progress with these restaurants,
Well, that's another reason we want Falcon, because we want Falcon to tell us, are we missing something, right? So we already have a list of maybe 5 or 6 of them.
With the community, so that the average homeowner isn't thinking, oh, we've got all 10.
Well, I mean, I believe I don't know if you read the announcements or come to our meetings, but we say that in the meetings that we have been waiting for these restaurant financials to complete the LOI. And yes, I'm hearing you as far as that probably would be a good idea to put, these are the things that we need. But again, that's what we're also relying on Falcon to let us know that, hey, you're missing this piece because you need to have, for example, the audited financials, right? We need to make sure that they are audited, and those are something that you You just check off the box.
Mark's next over here.
I wanted to ask one question. So we have given an LOI to Falcon Group to complete, to start negotiating and completing for us.
She wrote it.
Okay, so we haven't given them one.
No, I don't think we have.
No, they have not received anything to my knowledge. I didn't know about it.
So you haven't given Falcon anything yet?
No, we haven't given it.
I
Christie.
mean,
Yeah. Well,
okay, so.
she wrote us a
Template. She wrote us a template. There's not been a true LOI.
So the management agreement that James Hoffman kind of said, hey, my dad's a retired lawyer, he's done
That's correct.
some stuff, and he gave us that in kind of with the terms that they wanted in there. Jackie took that and turned it into an LOI.
Over the weekend?
And that's what, yeah, you got it.
Over the weekend, right?
No,
It's the same one. Is it another one?
No, this is 2
Okay.
weeks ago, right. And the board, all the board members have it. And that's what we're working on now to create
Can you go back there to a little bit? I didn't understand exactly what y'all just said.
Well, okay, so let's trace the document trail here. The first thing we got from Christie's was a standard boilerplate lease from a commercial. It's, I don't know, one of the Texas commercial real estate groups, right? It was a boilerplate lease with some terms filled in, right? And that was a lease, and we know that we can't sign a lease from our HOA attorneys, right? So the next thing that happened was Hoffman said, hey, my dad's a retired lawyer. We've done deals kind of like this before, so let me give you a document that he has, and that's what he sent us, right, with kind of their terms in filled in there. So that's the second document that we got. That went to Jackie at Falcon, and she took all those terms and basically plugged it into her template for LOIs.
Along with Seth and we had some
and you
input
two,
that we spoke about.
exactly, and y'all are continuing to work on that LOI, right? And
We received that over the weekend.
We're working with Jackie on it. Yeah, and we're also collecting. We're trying to compile in one place all of the different terms and suggestions and things from board members, because there's board members that have some really great ideas about what should go into this management agreement. So we're collecting that stuff right now. That is what Rick and Seth and Jackie will be discussing and determining what we need to include and not include, and coming up with kind of a final version of that LOI. And that's the kind of template that we'll use for everyone that's interested. Does that make sense? There is an LOI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long is it going to take?
Year or two? 3 or 4?
How long is it going to take?
2 or 3 years.
Or you
No
can-
big deal. No big deal, man.
They can't answer that because Christie's won't give them what they need. So
But
we
he
keep
said
asking them the same question.
They give it because it's been vague and ambiguous in what we need. And because they're dealing with 3 different parties.
Well, then why can't we have them go through Falcon so y'all aren't involved?
That's what we're doing.
Falcon is going to be the center point contact.
My intent all along was to try to get the board to present those deal points to them. That's what I said in the meeting. I wanted all the deal points. We can do that because at the end of the day, the board has to make a decision on whatever is presented. So we've got to get it down on paper and put the deal points together. And that's what we've been, believe me, it's not easy.
Rick, there's a guy over there that's having his hand up. Rick. There's a guy back there.
Well, this guy,
I'm good. They answered my question.
okay.
Right back there in the blue shirt.
Someone before me? Real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Okay, I would say that the other night, it was beautiful outside. We're all out, we're enjoying some music. You had food, you had the air of what this place used to feel like when it was open and operable. And I tell you what, I want this thing open. I want to have my family out here. And selfishly, the sooner the better. I really applaud the board for taking a difficult journey through this. It's easy to take the first option. I bought a car today. I did not buy from the first dealership. I did not buy from the second dealership. I did not buy from the third dealership. I like the idea of getting additional options. And they might not be better options. It might be Christie at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, we can all stand on this and say, A professional third party validated what our board did. And I think that is extremely important. So hats off to you guys. I know this is not easy. I know everyone else has the answers, but I think it's the right route, guys.
You must not have needed a car tomorrow. You had time to wait.
Well,
we have a deal in front of us. It's been here for 3 or 4 months. It's not like the first opportunity to buy. So why wait? It's pretty obvious what the community wants. So we'll see. Don't wait.
Have any of the people that Falcon had brought in, have they matched what Christie's has said they would do? Christie's has offered to help with some of the repair costs, with the doors here, the kitchen, and things like that. All the marketing, everything. So have any of the other people offered to take on any of that expense?
Yes, they didn't blink whenever I mentioned they walked them through the kitchen. They just told me they just dropped $2 million in their last restaurant, so they had no problem.
They haven't offered.
I'm just saying, they didn't blink when it came to looking at what they can do to fix this place up. So.
Okay, will you clarify one more thing for me? You did say, when I first asked it, I believe I heard something different than what I heard the second time I asked it. There will be a deposit in there that will, if they don't last through the contract, we will get that money back. They will refund us the money, and if not, if they do last through the contract, then we give them the deposit.
That's all negotiable on every contract that you ever do because everything's different. They can come in here and gut this kitchen and put $2 million into the rest, and then
we don't leave. And they can leave.
We benefit in that. So every deal is different. It depends on who comes in here to negotiate. I've looked at 400 different restaurant contracts in my career, and every single one of them are different. In Vegas, they have to put $750,000 in tenant improvements every 2 years. Every 2 years, we have to gut the place and fix it up. So, I mean, every contract's going to be different. And when they come in here, we're going to do our due diligence and hopefully make sure that we put in something in the contract that backs us and make sure that we win. Because that's the whole point of us being here is to win. Like, I don't want to go out there and get us in another unfavorable situation like Kemper. I want us to have a great success.
My next question is, you're bringing up if they come in and put $2 million into our kitchen or whatever, that'd be great, okay? So, are the residents and co-owners going to see that in the financials, very plain and simple, and not muddled all in a general category that we can't understand, that it has been done in the past? When everything was lump sum, you couldn't figure out what was done, the books were just jacked up.
Well, if they put $2 million in, that's their money. We're not going to see that, right? But if we're getting the rental coming in, you're going to see the rental coming in every month, and then hopefully percentage rent on top of it.
Whatever's in that contract will be part of the books and records of the association, and everyone in this room that's a property owner has the ability to look at and get a copy of those contracts.
And are they going to be broken out?
If it's in the contract, you get to see it.
Andrea did a great job when she came on here, getting everything where we could understand it, because it was all just
She's
jumbled.
fantastic.
She's done excellent in getting us the records and straightening it out. She's put hours and hours into that. And that's what I'm asking. Is it going to come back now and there be like $2 million and then they leave? But the money's not being, we can't see where that was. I mean, they should be giving us money back. It's going to be more than $2 million. I mean, I'm just throwing that figure out because he did. But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to follow the paper trail?
I'm like, again, in a situation where they got the kitchen and do it themselves, we wouldn't see the paper trail, we would just see the result because that's their.
We would just own $2 million worth of kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but we would have that equipment. We would know we had that equipment, and we would know.
It would be out, yeah. And that would show up on something like a reserve study, right? Reserve study, you go through to figure out all the stuff that you own. and what its life is, and so that would land there in very, very specific detail. But I guess I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. We're going to do everything we can, and that's why Falcon is involved, to make sure we get a favorable deal, right? And they know that how those details work. We're not experts on the board. They are.
Well, I'm still in a little confused why we had to do Falcon when we have attorneys that could have done the same thing.
Attorneys are lawyers, and they only look at legal language. They don't negotiate. Well, lawyers do not negotiate. They only look at the legal language and make sure the legal language is correct. A lawyer's not going to say, "Oh, you need to tweak this term. You need to add 2% every year over the year or whatever." So.
Just a quick question. It's apparent that the contingency of the 5 board members here and everybody, the 7 members, that we were incapable of structuring a deal with an individual. Am I correct? We were incapable of structuring a management agreement with anybody else within our 7 board members. Am I correct?
Not incapable.
I don't know what you're.
No, so what I'm saying is, we didn't have the capabilities as a board to structure an agreement or management agreement with ABC company, Christie, XYZ, whatever.
Yeah, I can say that the board is not qualified. We don't have the expertise to do that.
I wish this board would have been on board when we got there.
Well, at least we're, admitting our ignorance.
Well, yeah, I wish we'd have done our due diligence for,
Yeah.
we got to the cleaners.
Yeah.
So why not hire people from Chandlers?
There you have it. The microphone, I don't know if you have a question.
I have a question. Like, I have a recommendation. I feel like communication is obviously a problem. Like, I had no idea what was going on here, and really, I just started trying to learn. But I also was just like, man, I don't like that we elected this board. They don't know what they're doing. But after coming to 2 of these and hearing everyone talk, I think y'all do know what you're doing, and you are trying. But I'm like, I still don't really know what's happening, and most of the community doesn't unless they come to these. And the people that come to these, I don't think are the people that are going to represent everyone. So I guess what I'm asking is, like, and I would even volunteer for this, like, can we just get some type of status update in Town Square or something that meets people more where they are? I think it's even just like, hey, last week we signed Falcon Group. Falcon Group requested on Wednesday financials from Christie's. They asked them to send it back by X date. We had another person, I don't know how much information you can share if you say who it is or not, but like, come view the club. Like, I think just saying like, this happened on this day and doing like a weekly status update or something. And again, I'll volunteer for that.
Rumor mill kind of fill people in.
Well,
Yeah.
the truth is if it was like a weekly update, kind of hard, like when you're new to this community, you want to be involved. But I don't want to take a beating from all these people that are like mad at each other.
You and me both.
So you want to, I know, I understand that. So you want the community to be involved, but the people who are personally going after a person who doesn't have a dang thing to do with it should stop. We should, like, I'm real grateful, like Rick has done this Monday, or whatever day, Tuesday after Tuesday after Tuesday. Credit where credit's due, even if we don't agree. We don't have to agree. My husband and I don't agree. I say this all the time, but we still sleep together. We like each other. We don't have to agree, but we need to quit bashing people on that thing, whatever that thing is. Put your backs out there. If you have a question, because I want to be involved, but I don't want to be involved if all we're doing is like waiting to jab somebody again. So let's have conversations that are real and valid without being personal attacks. Yeah. That wasn't a question. That was just a personal.
Hey, go ahead. Yeah. Hello? Testing. Can you hear me? I've got a couple of statements and questions for Greg over here.
Everyone knows Jimmy.
No, sorry, I don't need to talk about that. Okay, okay. At the homeowners meeting, Greg, you mentioned a drop dead date for all the LOIs by tomorrow. And now we blew past that because we don't have enough LOIs. So can you come up with a brand new drop dead date for the LOIs? And when you have them and the board looks at all of them, can you have a special meeting so all of us and everybody in the community can come and have a discussion before the board makes a unilateral decision?
Sure.
Just like this.
Okay, let's do it. Okay. Let's come up with a drop dead date.
Yeah, I don't know that we can say this specific date. It's LOI. The people that are interested know there's urgency, okay? So they're going to be putting their LOIs together as quickly as they can.
I know.
And they know at some point, we'll just tell them it's too late.
Right. And I know you mentioned the number a little while ago, if you had 4 LOIs. Should that be a good number to go with? When you get up to the number 4, make a decision?
But yeah, I think 4 sounds like a pretty darn good number.
Okay. And then, you know.
I don't know that we'll get 4.
Right. Okay, then time-wise, is a week reasonable? 2 weeks? 1 month? 2 months?
I don't think a week's reasonable at all.
Okay. How about a month?
I don't know what to do.
How about a month?
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't commit to anything. We need to get LOIs in the door.
Right.
We don't have to get those as fast as we can.
Right.
If we don't get them for 30 days, and I mean, let's say we don't get Christie's finance or anything else for 30 days, and why would we put a date today on something that we don't even know?
Well, here's the thing. It seemed like Christie seems very interested. If you got to them if you contacted Christie's or this person from Falcon and said, we need it in a week. This is very important. Get it in here. They would probably do it.
Well, we did say that, and then they go back
Still have
today.
0 completed LOIs.
Okay.
Well,
we did
go
go
back today saying he's another 7 to 10 days potentially. So we give him another day. So he's working on it.
Oh, this is the guy from Christie?
No.
We're talking about
Falcon?
next week.
Did that happen with Christie? Because I did not see it going to Christie.
What's that?
Correspondence to them, giving them a date to get the information that we're telling the other folks to get.
Yes, she said she was in communication with Jordan and said
I haven't seen it. Did you see it?
you were on the text today.
Okay, but I haven't seen it. Did you see it?
Yes, I saw the text that said she has been in communication with Jordan.
But we didn't see, okay.
Well,
We're just taking her that, that's what we got.
let's follow up on that and make sure, let's follow up on that and make sure that Christie's has a date so they know when they need to get it in, so they don't.
We told them to make first date, so.
Oh, okay, well, that's out the window now with everybody, I guess, right? Because tomorrow's May 1st. Okay. Okay. Well, how about this? Greg, you can commit. Once you get the LOIs, whatever number, if it's 4, whatever number you're satisfied with, you'll call another meeting of everybody in Chandler's to come. You'll discuss the different people, the different contracts, before the board makes a decision.
Sure.
Okay. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back in the back.
Is it working? Yes. Okay, Sheila Theo, 209 Rainbow.
Mike,
Up
Mike.
against your mouth.
209 Rainbow. So, I understand the summer coming up, the sense of urgency's here, but we gotta kind of step back and look at where we were when this group came on board. And I'm sorry, people might not want to look, but it's about budget, dollars, and money. And we were bleeding out the hill. We were going to have to, they got rid of Kemper, they came back in here, we were floating money, trying to pay all our bills. And I don't know that y'all knew this, but we did. We floated money to make our bills. We didn't get an assessment, which is very good. Third parties are industry standards. They are the ones, when you don't have experts, you go out there and you do the research and you let them help advise people that are unqualified to make these decisions. Now, in prior history, did we do this? Who the heck knows? We've already been there. We are here now as a group, as a community, and I'm sorry, we are all family. And this is crazy. Our sense of urgency is we want a restaurant, and I do too. But at the same time, we don't want to get back into this Kemper conflict that we were in. I don't want an assessment. I don't want to have to pay extra money here for our community. I'm happy with volunteering, but we voted these people on here to be our board and to make decisions for us. Like it or not, it might not be at the exclamation that y'all want it to be at, but they are our people that we voted for. So at the end of the day, look, let's give them some time. Let's let them do their due diligence. We do it in all industries. So and it might be that Christie's is a right group. I mean, it sounds good. They look good. I'm kind of been very neutral because I want to see where they come out at the end of the day. And I do want a restaurant. But I also know that I love this community and all y'all people. And y'all gotta be patient. Yes, I want things. So does my kids and my grandkids, right? But at the end of the day, let these people go out. They've done their due diligence. They're doing things that they need to do. Did our boards do this? Like I said, who the heck knows? But we got this great building. We got this great community. And I mean, yes, we need deadlines, and yes, we want it to happen. But y'all be patient. That's all I
I'd like to say a few things about transparency. And this lady over here, I appreciate you saying what you said. Transparency is a beautiful thing, but it is very time consuming. Some of the things that you asked for, I would love to do that. I honestly would, but I flat out don't have time. I don't know if you know that we had an emergency with a lawnmower. We've had challenges in the front office. We've had roofing problems and drainage problems and all kinds of stuff. And we've had some of our community members requiring records documents and things like this. This all takes a lot of time, folks. So as much as I wish I had all the financials I asked for and all of the capital structure documents I asked for and a bunch of other stuff, I would have dropped everything, all of that stuff, and started looking at it. So please, I do understand why you're upset. We don't have some of the stuff. I'm upset. I'm very frustrated, quite frankly, and I'm getting very weary. You can only go so many different ways. And I can tell you that Rick's probably feeling this, Julie, Seth, Greg, Jennifer and Lizzie, we are all weary. And transparency takes a lot of time. I would love to give you more beautiful graphs and more beautiful things. And I'm going to ask anybody that's got any kind of skills that can make this.
I will do it.
I will help you. We will funnel the information to you and you make it beautiful. And I am happy to have the help.
I'm being honest.
So go to Town Square, go to my update on Town Square, click my email address, send me an email so I know who you are, and I'll make sure you get in touch with Andrea.
Yeah,
well, I do think it'd be nice and clean if it did say update, because, like I said, I get on there to read something that I want to know, and you get all the blah, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
if you just put the announcement,
But I posted on
just post the announcement.
CYC update.
That's why we post only.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's really what would be nice, to just get an update about
And rather than doing something on the forum, which is just a conversation, it's an update, it's standard
Right.
itself.
Because everyone's feedback is important. I'm not saying it's not important, it's very important. That's why we're a community. It's just the person thing. I'd like to agree with that.
Mr. Moderator, on that note, I make a motion to adjourn.
Hey, we can moderate these forums. We can moderate because, as most of you know, admin logins can take all of us. No, I didn't hear admin logins.
Next, any other comments, questions? One more. Just one. Just one.
I think it was at the January board meeting, it was announced that we weren't gonna have the residents forum till after the board meeting was adjourned. And I think it was said that although we were gonna do that, the residents forum would be in the monthly minutes, and they haven't been at all.
No,
So
that's
I just-
why we did that.
Do what?
The residents forum aren't appropriate to include in the minutes because the minutes.
Oh, but that's not what was announced.
Oh, I think that's exactly what it is. I think
We got it down.
Yeah, I remember saying it.
No, you weren't there, you said.
No, I was taking in February.
Oh, it was maybe Thursday. Before you adjourned.
I remember it being.
One more thing here.
Before you adjourn and leave,
Some of us are planning to come down here Sunday afternoon for Cinco de Mayo downstairs on the patio. Please